All right, boom. Yo, it's good, y'all. It's been a minute since I've been down to record for. It's been a while, but today we're going to talk about board games and obscure board games, for example, and puzzles. And I'm making this video into, kind of like a little series talking about card games and board games and things like that. You know what I'm saying? So, board games, family fun. Sometimes long, typically 4 to 8 players. You can't have less, and they're sick. You have 4 to 6 to 8 players. It's so fun. And sometimes they have cards within these games, so they can be card games as well, but board games because it encompasses so much, so it becomes categorized under board games. And way to define board games, I can say, are games that are played on a board. Primarily when games are played on a board, you're going to call those board games. Simple, but it makes sense. So I also like to jog your memory with a lot of board games that you have probably played or you heard of before. So like Monopoly, Fire, Game of Life, Fire, Sorry, if you know, you know. Twister can be categorized under board games. Trouble, Battleship, and Candyland. And I grew up with board games as a youngin', and they were a lot. They were a big part of playing with family and playing together with friends, and so much you can do. And some of the best nights and days whenever you sit down and play these games, it brings a lot of nostalgia and that you'll never forget. And now they're not played as much now, but let me say this, they are played virtually, so it brings that same amount of fun and excitement. But just the times when you play them in person, those are some of the best times because you're really engaged. Your mind and body is working, and you're trying to beat everyone in the room, pretty much. But virtual is pretty fun too. And I'm trying to try my hand again at virtual board games because those look just as fun or almost as fun as, regular board games, because I feel like the rules in a virtual board game will be more enforced, more so than whenever you're playing them, in real time. Like, the rules can be bent or you forget rules, you know what I'm saying? But, just a little more on nostalgia. We had a carpet of Candyland, and that was one of the best board games or like gift. One of the biggest things I remember, we had a whole Candyland carpet, and it had everything. I feel like it even had pieces that came with it. So we're literally playing on the giant, carpet, and in reverse, a giant game board, which is totally fire, honestly. So yeah, let me just kind of talk about board games and what can typically go on in board games. So like I said before, 4 to 6 to 8, or typically before 4 to 8 players. And on the board, there are going to be places that you have to hit, and there's going to be dices and rolls and turns and stuff like that, right? So for example, let's say you're a player, you have to pick a piece, and that piece is going to be your piece till you reach the end of the game. And cards come into play and whatnot. So let me get on. So typically, you're a player. You grab the dice or whatever, you roll, you grab your piece, and you jump as far as you rolled. Let's say you roll a 2, you move forward 2 spaces. And there you go. And then the next person goes, they roll, they move those spaces. the amount of times that they roll. And let's say you land on a place where something has to happen. And that's where cards come into play, where you'll pull cards and you'll either have to gain something or lose something. In the case of Monopoly, it's either you're buying something or you're losing something. Game of Life, you're gaining something, losing something, or anything like that. Sorry, I forgot how that went, but if I ever need to do a video on Sorry, I will. Twister, you spin a little card and land on that color. Trouble, it's kind of fuzzy. Battleship, you send shots, not physical shots, but you send shots to the other side where you think their things are, where their ships are. Candyland, you roll dice, you try to you either jump across the board, or you keep going until you win. And you have cards with that as well too. But all in all, obscure board games or board games in general are very, very fun. And there's a big part of my childhood and probably your childhood as well too. So I make this video in, remembrance of board games and the nostalgia, and just to remember to keep playing them as well too, because they're very, very fun. So with that, y'all, man, this is a nostalgic run tonight, because I haven't been on these things in a minute, but we're back now and we're gonna be on top of things. So with that, y'all, it's been choosing, and I'm out. Peace.